The Oklahoma Sooners are most of the way through their 2025 National Signing Day Haul, and we've got Chris Mason and myself talking to Selma, Alabama recruit signee Kristen Megatron Moore right now on this special signing day edition of Hall of Fame College Football's Sooner Intel, or no, Sooner Recruit Intel. Let's get it. Good morning, and welcome back to Recruit Intel, Hall of Fame College Football, along with Sooners360 and the Horns Down podcast. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, along with my co-host for the morning, Sooners360's Mr. Mason, Chris Mason. You love college football, especially Oklahoma football. You know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button on all channels, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Recruit Intel. Mr. Mason, good morning, sir.
Morning.
Happy signing day.
It's Christmas for recruiting freaks like me.
All right. How you feeling, man? You feeling good about everything going on?
Yeah, it's chaotic out there nationally wise. There's all kinds of decommits and flips happening. OU kind of had their bad news yesterday, so
Yeah.
today seems to be going by the numbers. OU's getting everybody in that they're expected to get in. No surprises, positive or negative. The class is just coming in bit by bit.
Okay. What was the bad news for yesterday that you're talking about?
Yeah, well, OU. There were two guys I thought that OU had a good shot at that would have made it added to the class, helped in the trenches on both sides. I thought OU had a good chance with Noah Abibi, the Houston area offensive guard. He ended up choosing Houston. I think just close to home and promise of earlier playing time. And then OU did a great job setting up Malike Franklin, the big defensive tackle, defensive end. Could have been either one in the OU system, really. From I'm going to forget. I forget what part of Alabama he's from. I'm confusing him because OU's recruiting so much in Alabama lately. But
Yeah.
anyway, Bama Tuesday morning said, "Hey, we have an offer for you." And
Mm.
other though I think he probably had committed to Oklahoma, he flipped to the Crimson Tide. An annoying surprise there. And of course, over the weekend, we knew that T-Ron Richardson was going to flip to Vatek, and we knew
So
Braden
we ended up
Allen.
getting a good flip out of that one too, right? So you get a flip off the Wisconsin wide receiver, 6'4" guy, big target,
Yeah,
which is kind of what we're looking for at the moment, right?
yeah. So we can get to all that, the positive flips that occurred, but Braden Allen also flipped to LSU, and you kind of knew that once Kiffin was hired, there was a chance that that would happen. So he decommitted. So you took some hits. They got some guys in. It's all kind of a little bit of a it's a little bit of a wash. We can get to some of those specifics, if we have questions, or you and I can just kind of go through them bit by bit, discussing the class in general. So it's going to be about a 15, 16 on the rankings, depending upon additions and losses by other folks. So
Right.
somewhere in the top 15, which is about where I thought it would be for the last month. There was some Davion Gross noise last night. Hard to tell whether that was real or whether his representation was using the Florida chaos as a chance to just get some more money. Go back to OU and then go back to Florida and say, "Hey, OU's raised their game." It's hard to know if he was seriously thinking of flipping to OU or his people were just kind of using Oklahoma to kind of get a little more graft out of Florida, because Florida, you know, pretty desperate to keep their class together and add pieces with the Summerall hiring.
Right, right. Yeah, definitely, definitely. And obviously, Oklahoma gets their guy. We've known this for a while now, but Bo Bentley, one of the first guys in, as far as signatures and stuff all the way in. He was talking about it last night that he couldn't wait to be signing. So, Oklahoma gets their guy there. Uh, big weekend, and we've got a recruit coming on this morning. Obviously, I said it in the intro. We got Megatron, Kristen Moore out of Selma, Alabama. This is a kid who has flown up the recruit rankings. From the last time I spoke to him, he didn't have stars. He's already a 3-star just since, and he's had apparently a flood of offers that came in over the last few weeks. This kid is a difference maker at the linebacker position, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been advertising those offers, so a lot of people just see the North Alabama commitment he made months ago. You know, what's going on? They don't understand that the kid, he's not like on social media every day posting his new offers.
Mm-hmm.
He's been getting more offers. But OU was keeping their interest level and their offer kind of secret a little bit.
I think that was, keeping your cards close to the vest, right?
Trying to keep your cards close to the vest. I think we need to get used to that. Maybe a little bit more from Nagy.
Sure.
He's used to the NFL, draft model where you don't advertise what you're doing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You bring kids in secretly for interviews.
sure.
You work with agents and you let them know they're going to draft you in the third round, but you don't publicize all of that, right? So I think we may see some more. It may be harder to follow OU recruiting as the Nagy regime, embeds, because if I'm Nagy, because we lost some. Like I said, OU identified some kids that some gems they thought they'd found via their scouting department, like Malike Franklin, and then they lost them in the last minute to some local programs. So you wonder if OU may keep that stuff a little lower profile. You may see OU may start telling kids, don't go public with our offer,
Hmm.
because we're working things, and we prefer that our interest level in you is kept a little quieter. So I think that
Yeah.
might be something we could see down the road. But to get back to Kristen Moore, he's 6'2", 220. I think, well, we'll ask him what his weight is. He may be a little bigger than that. He's certainly got the frame to carry 235, 240 easily from what I've
Yeah, he's a
seen.
big boy. Yeah.
Long wingspan. He's a hitter. He is a hammer, and he's looking for things to hit. So I think, and we'll talk about this all more with Kristen, but I think when you look at what Oklahoma's faced in year two in the SEC, where we faced Ahmed Hardy, the running back at Ole Miss, presuming he will still be at Ole Miss, that Kiffin's not just going to poach the roster, get him to go to LSU. But the guy they poached from Mizzou, and just some of the other programs in the SEC, we kind of need a big thumping, run stopping linebacker. We're facing programs that are much more committed and focused on running the football than we were in the Big 12. So I
Yeah.
think having a Kobe McKenzie, and I think Kobe McKenzie's not the world's, it's a pretty good comp, although maybe a little Torrent for an old school guy like me. Maybe Torrance Marshall is maybe a little bit of a comp there in terms of his impact and his hitting. So I think he's a big addition. OU needs linebackers in the class. They lost Ja'Cory Smith to Arkansas, but I think that's more a product of that they like Jacob Curry a little bit more. Bojandro's finally healthy, and he's playing. He played in the final couple of games for his high school, so he's interesting in kind of
Yeah.
maybe he's a Heineke kind of guy who can play Mike and Will for you and blitz and do a lot of the things we see from Heineke at linebacker. And he's 6'1", 228. Heineke's not the biggest guy. So if Jandro can get to like the 225 mark, you could play him at will or you could play him at Mike. So, Kristen Moore has some versatility there in terms of being a pure Mike. You could also put him maybe in like a Sam linebacker role a little bit as well because he's a good blitzer. He's
Yeah,
he's
definitely a good blitzer.
he's a,
Definitely a good blitzer. He gets to the ball and he wreaks havoc on tackles, man, on offensive tackles out there.
yeah,
So
he does a good job there. He's physical. He's very physical, and so I think he's an interesting addition, and that was a late addition. OU was able to close on. OU closed on the Indianapolis kid Dane Bathurst, who could be a big Sam backer, could be a Mike, or OU could decide that he's too good at rush end that we just need to leave him there and let him develop there. OU has some players. I like the defensive end group in this class a lot.
mhm.
But yeah, there's all kinds of nuance to some of the things OU did. It's like Nico Jandro is a cheetah, and for some schools he's like a mid 3 star. But for
Mhm.
OU, with the specific the specific role OU has for him, he becomes more valuable because we have an every down cheater role. He's 5'11", 200 pounds. He's not a deep cover safety. That's not the role. And he's probably not going to be big enough to be like a Mike linebacker. But whereas some teams can't use these sort of hybrid tweeners, OU has the perfect spot for him. And he will kill, you know, he will be very effective in that cheater role, I believe, because, near the line of scrimmage, he's pretty deadly in both coverage and run support and run help. So, and as we've seen, special teams is huge. Both of, Nico Jandro, to me, I think, could not redshirt and be like a superstar on special teams year one. Because
Yeah,
he's,
that's awesome to hear too. Because I mean, as we've seen, particularly in a year that if you're not playing the best offense, it's super important that your special teams units be fantastic. And obviously, uh, this one has been at Oklahoma, so that's something that you can see. They made it a priority to be good in special teams, and it's working out very well. It feels like in that regard, right?
yeah, I mean, I think some of us could even remember back when we had elite offenses. We had terrible special teams that kept hurting us.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
um, Texas returning kickoffs against us, Oklahoma State routinely returning kickoffs against us,
Mhm.
infamous the punt twice game, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I think overall, I think we're seeing that Brent's making special teams a focus, and I just don't see that going away. And when you have guys like Nico Jandro, who may have had some opposition in front of him in getting to the cheetah role, perhaps, right?
Right.
We've got some different pieces there at cheetah, but I think at the very least he could help you year one on special teams, and then I think maybe after a year and some turnover, I think you then start getting him into the cheetah role. And OU's the nice thing is OU's got enough pure safeties
Hmm.
that they don't have to worry about. Okay, well we need to. We're not in a case any longer where our secondary depth is so fragile that okay, well we got to play Nico at real safety and then take him away from his natural position where he's most comfortable, which is around the line of scrimmage, the short area of the short defensive area.
Yeah.
He'll blow up the short passing game, wide receiver screen game, stuff like that. He just blow that up.
Right.
So I think that's one of those areas where the class isn't going to be ranked highly by the services because well they just don't have the appropriate they don't see the value that Nico Jandro has for OU. And if he went somewhere else, it may not be he would be stuck as a tweener, right? What do we do? What do we do with him? But OU schematically has a slot for him. So you already kind of answered that question.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, I'm just actually kind of getting some stuff put together for when Kristen comes in. But yeah, and I think you're right about a lot of that stuff too. Where are we at as far as obviously everybody wants to talk about Jonathan Hatton. What a huge flip for them this past week as well for Oklahoma. You got to kind of take your hat off to that. This is something that you were talking about to us 6 months ago that could very well happen. Once he flipped, you felt like that was a situation where he might be flipping back this way. I gotta give you your props on that because you've been dead on.
I can't say I lost hope though. I kind of lost hope a little while ago, but so just to recap, because Jonathan's been posting some stuff online. So he is 6'1", 220 pounds, and he's posted somewhere in a 10.6 to 10.7 100 meters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Wow.
and if you have not watched his senior film tape on Huddle, do yourself a favor because there are brief moments because he's sporting number 28, right? So there are brief moments when you see how big he is and how physical and how well put together he is, but how much he blazes past people when he gets an open running lane. It's hard not to have some minor echoes of a certain future Hall of Fame elite OU running back, the guy who made 28 the number you wanted to have at Oklahoma if you were a running back. There's a little AD in this, just a little when you watch his highlight reel.
Oh, yeah, he looks pretty good. I don't know that I'm going to go there.
Well,
But,
I guess when you see but you got to say when you see the 28 on his jersey, and he's how big he is and how fast he is. There's an echo of it. I'm not going to say he's AD. That's not fair to any kid at
it's not
all.
fair to any kid. And that's the thing. It's not even about AD. I don't think it's right to do it for AD, but I certainly do not think it's right to heap that onto to a player coming
Yeah.
into college. That's
Nah,
just
nah, nah. It's just some, but there is, but I gotta, but if you, when I first watched the senior film, and I'm like, that's just a,
yeah, no doubt. He's definitely a man among boys. Man among boys.
and he's playing top talent. This is 6A Cibolo Steel. That's his high school. He's playing Centec's elite competition. So, yeah, it's OU's
You
up
said
to.
Gross is not looking like he's going to flip. Is that correct? And
No,
I don't know.
I believe he signed with Florida. He signed with
I think
Florida.
he did already as well.
Yeah, so that was I I wonder if there was really a genuine flip there, if he was just once the Florida coach got hired, they were like, okay, let's try and use OU, a little bit like the coaching search going on right now. Lots of guys are getting, Matt Rule should send a fruit basket to Penn State, you know,
Oh shit, man.
like 10 fruit baskets. Um,
Listen, I mean, and I'd love to. We need to. Let's see. I'll tell him to jump on the live as soon as he's done. Yes. Yeah. I was just getting word from when he's coming on. He's
okay.
good. Um. Yeah, no doubt. But while we're waiting on that too, I mean, Penn State is what a mess. They're down to three commits right now. The last time that I looked, they're down to three. This is a program that whether you like James Franklin or not, you got to wonder what in the world were they doing making this kind of move, knee jerk reaction. A guy that had you in the semifinals last year, perennial 10-game winner, and you fire him on a knee jerk, and supposedly to get the head start on your coaching search, Mr. Mason. Kentucky fires Martin Stoops, and 12 hours later has Will Stein as the head coach. They did this 2 months ago, and they can't sniff a coach.
And the sad element is that their recruiting class was pretty loaded. I think they were probably in the top
They
15,
are.
range. Franklin's stolen all of those kids to Va Tech. I mean, if you remember, I guess when you get fired is a different ethos, but you remember like Brent, like, well, when I'm not going to try and poach any of Clemson's recruits. When Brent got first on board, he said he wasn't going to do that for at least a year. Well, obviously, when you fire Franklin, he was like, well, screw it, I'm going to steal every damn kid I can. And he's done that. I mean, He stole. I mean, basically, I don't know what Penn State's doing. I mean, I don't know how you recover from this high school talent body blow, you know, theft or
I agree.
departures. It's. I don't know how you readjust to this. I mean, obviously, you say, well, you just hit the portal. Yeah, but when you're a program like Penn State, you're trying to compete with Ohio State and Indiana and Michigan, Oregon. You
Yeah,
you got to have good high school foundational classes.
you do, and I think that they're seeing a change in the way that recruiting's going. I think we've talked about this a bunch. Whenever over this past year, is that you have to retention is the name of the game at this point. Once you get them in the building, but that's when you have a team that is already competing. You have to be building through high schools though, and to build your foundation, right? Supplementation with the portal is always going to be key, but it can't be your entirety of what you're doing, right? It can't be what you do constantly.
No, no. I mean, again, when you look at um, Pitt had signed, all 24 kids are in.
Nice.
Jim Nagy just posted the 2026 recruiting class is officially official. So Nico Jandro's in, Bo Jandro's in. It's OU has. There's a lot of this class has gone through some ebbs and flows to it, right? And we talked a lot. I know, Jason, Chris, and I, when we were doing our we were doing our off-season stuff, and sometimes we'd flip to recruiting, talking about it. And I was constantly saying that the biggest fix for recruiting is winning, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what happened was the end of last year hurt OU's. You don't see the impact in the current class, right?
Hmm.
Sort of the recruiting momentum is sort of like a 12-month process, right? It's OU's end this year, we'll see in 27 and 28, right? It'll help us a little bit in 26, but it's not really going to help that much, right? And 25 we ended pretty well, right? We didn't lose for Susie, and we had a smaller class, but it looks like it was pretty front loaded based upon what we saw on the field this year and what we're hearing about guys as well. But what happened is OU had so much momentum with 2026 kids that we lost because of the poor season. We had basically from January to October, all of our key opponents were able to negatively recruit Brent. Brent's fired. Brent's going to get fired. The coaches recruiting you are going to get fired. They're all leaving. So we had to deal with that. And then Jim Nagy came on board in really April with his full staff. He reshuffled the deck a little bit. That also hurt us. We dropped some kids we had big momentum with. Reshuffled added some names that he wanted. Moved on from some kids. So, all in all, it was a little bit of a chaotic process for 2026 because the Brent noise was the heaviest, right? Brent and all the off-season stuff, and then everybody saying, well, their schedule's impossible. They're going to go 6-6, 7-5. We don't know if Brent can keep his job if that's the case. All those things have a cumulative sort of load and build to them, right? That the coaching staff had to try and replace, but and counter, and you can't counter some of that stuff until you get on the field.
Hmm.
And then you saw OU get a little bit more momentum in recruiting for 2026. Closed well on a number of kids. I mean, there are three of the top 6 kids in this class we added in the last 45 days. Jonathan Hatton, Jaden Petit, and J.C. Rogers. They are
They're new ones. Yeah.
they're new.
They're new.
They're all 3 are flips, right? So and when you think about the load balance on the roster, elite running back, elite wide receiver, elite wide receiver. That kind of works, right? If you were, you know, and all credit to, I think one guy. If I was going to talk about one guy, I think is getting a little overlooked based upon what OU really needs. It's Tyler Ruxer, the tight end from Indiana. He knows how to. He plays tight end. He knows how to block. Is he, you know, is he a crushing blocker? No, but he knows situationally how to block. Right? He knows the angles. He knows how to chip. He knows how to just, Sometimes Gabe is saying you don't need to crush a guy. You just need to get in the way. Right? And you need to be in the right. And you need to be in the right angle to get in the way of them. Right? So,
Colin Klein takes the job at
yeah,
K-State.
that's an interesting. That shakes up the Big 12 a little bit.
Absolutely, and it also shakes up some. Neilio is our K-State guy, and he said that they're getting a huge haul themselves. So, which doesn't surprise me with the year that they've had at Texas A&M, particularly on the offense. Man, what he's done with this offense has been unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. There's a bunch of assistants leaving different schools, right? And as we know, at Oklahoma, it only takes one bad assistant hire or coordinator hire, which you think is going to work well, right? You internally, all your data points say this should work fine, this should work great. It only takes one bad hire to reset one side of the ball, especially if that's not your specialty, right? Like,
Yep.
I think Lanning will hire a good replacement for Will Stein, right?
Sure. He had a good one before.
He had a good one before that. So he's got a good track record, right? But that's not his specialty, right? I mean, they're losing their DC and they're promoting a guy inside, and Lanning is, so that core is there. But if he hires a guy that doesn't have the level of efficacy that Will Stein and Dillingham had before, right? Oregon could find itself slightly derailed. So you never know. Elko seemed to have found the right guy with Colin Klein, right? Again, Elko's a defensive guy. He didn't exactly always have great offenses at Duke. So he's got to replace him, right? And if he misses that hire, you lose momentum. You're on mute, Jason.
I know. I was talking to our guy backstage. Let's get him in here real quick.
Great. Yeah.
Coming into the studio. Let me see. Oh, come on. Okay, I think we got him here. All right, welcome into the show. Uh-oh, we lost him, I think. Hey, hold on real quick. I'll get you right back in here. Okay, I think we got you. Kristen Moore, what's up, Mr. Megatron? Welcome into the show. I think we just missed him again. Something's going on.
There he is.
There he is. Can you hear me, guys? Can you hear me, Kristen?
You guys can hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you. Congratulations.
How you doing?
Doing well, my man. Breaking up a little bit, my guy. But congratulations, as Mr. Mason said here. This is Chris Mason from Sooners360. Obviously, want to introduce everybody to Kristen Megatron Moore we just lost him again. All right, we'll try to get him back in here as soon as possible and try to get better feed, obviously, from it. He was in the car. That was probably had something to do with it. Let's see if we can get him correctly in here this time. Okay. Kristen, you with us, man? Yeah, I can hear you, but you had left on there. Want to make sure we keep you on there. Are you in a bad service area or?
Yes, I was. I'm driving right. My mom driving right now. I was.
Well, congratulations to you, my friend, and welcome to Oklahoma, man. We're glad to have you on. And how you feeling today?
I feel good. We know he just signed this morning, so like, I'm really excited. To really leave next month. So I'm a mid. So like, really just to be a part of a program like that, I'm just really excited.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Mr. Mason, what questions would you have for him? This is Chris Mason from Sooners360. He's our resident recruiting guru, man. He's been on you since after we had the first interview with you back in the back. That's been a few months back, man. But great season for you. And he was called me the other day talking about, man, this guy's film is unbelievable. Um, Mr. Mason, I'll turn it to you for a second.
So Kristen, obviously, um, Brent Venables is kind of like the king of linebackers, right? The king of linebacker
Yes,
coaches.
sir.
So when you first, and obviously you've been working with Jim Nagy heavily as well, but when it became kind of clear that you camped at OU, can you talk a little bit about how that kind of set this whole recruiting process up?
Um, I really just want to first and most. I just really thank Coach Taylor Red. If he never sent me the invitation, I don't think I'd be here today. But I came there. I seen the competition. Really, I was excited to be there. I was given the opportunity, and I just ran with it. Um,
And you won the
I was
MVP, you
doing,
won the
they,
linebacker MVP, right?
yes, I think so. I won 10 out of 10 reps, allowed zero catches. I was doing every drill, almost the correct way. I was just really just almost trying to be perfect. And like, I got a lot of love from the coaches, a lot of recognition, and I was one of the top three to meet Coach Venables for the first time. So like, I feel like then after that, me and Jim Nagy just been in contact ever since. Then they talked about me playing middle linebacker. I went home, asked my head coach, "Hey coach, how would it feel? I made a switch for me." We talked about it. We came to the conclusion, okay, it's probably the best fit for our team. First couple of games was just a little rough. Me just still learning. Me just had to slow my playing style down. Cause remember I was playing DN past 3 years. So
Right.
really I just had to slow my playing game down. That's all. And, really I got started get the hang of it. Started watching my guard, started really just everything just started coming so smooth, so slow. And, it was some games I just sent to Jim Nagy and you see anything wrong in this specific play or in this game? He told my stance, just get a little lower. In this game, I did exactly what he said. And, trust me, it
Wow.
helped a lot. Me just getting a little lower, it helped me move better, me strike harder. And I said him that film. He like, okay, better impressive. I can be coachable. And so really after that, I just took off with it. And I really try to have fun with everything. So
What
like,
kind of season you had too, my friend? I mean, we heard that you had a injury that you played through for most of the year, and this is a toughness injury thing here because a groin injury. Is that correct?
sure.
You had a groin injury during the season, is what I've been hearing from people around. So you
Yes,
played through that and still dominated the way that you
yes, sir, exactly. The doctor was just surprised us. So
did. That's wild.
So Kristen, just to get this sort of out of the way with, because there's always all these numbers again. So you're 6'2", like 220 right now. Is that about right?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Um, so I know Megatron is your nickname, but when I watch your highlight reel, the hammer seems a little more appropriate because it kind of looks like, you know, eh, offensive players look like a nail to you, and you're hitting them, like a hammer.
On the head.
Yes,
So
sir.
when you went to the Michigan game, right? Before
Yes, sir.
you went back for LSU. What about the
Yes,
OU?
sir.
When you were watching OU's middle linebackers play, what kind of what kind of impression did they make on you? What did you look at that and say, yeah, that's kind of my position? Because it's really I'm not sure if Brent, obviously Brent and Coach Dryling and all the other guys. I mean, Mike linebacker in the Brent defense is like it's like a star position, right? It's like it runs everything. I mean, if I'm,
Yes, sir.
did you get a chance to talk to like Kobe McKenzie and it gets the green dot. It's the person setting the defense up. So when you watched the Mike linebackers, what was your impression?
My first game when I seen the Mike linebacker was Michigan. First thing I seen, they play with a lot of excitement, a lot of energy. And I do just want to give a lot of recognition to Kip Lewis.
Yep.
I think when I met him the second time at LSU, I told him, I admire you. I try to like play my play style close to your play style. Like he give me a lot of hope, I see, for the size of linebacker I am right now compared to him. He showed me it's possible. So like really under Coach Venable, I just really think I have a on being coached under him, I feel like I have a successful career at the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
Coach Drilling, so I really do. I'm really just excited.
yeah. There's some old school linebackers for OU that when I'm thinking about like your high end potential at OU that come to mind. There's some Curtis Lofton in your game. There's a JUCO linebacker who was part of OU's national championship team in 2000 called Torrance Marshall. That you kind of remind me of as well. He was kind of that 6'2", 235 kind of frame, which is what I think probably OU will kind of have you play at. I think, but you got a big frame, so I don't think that's much of a problem. But yeah, it's when I just watch your film, I'm just like, that's a Mike linebacker. That's a Mike linebacker in a Brent Venables defense, and in 9 SEC games now, when OU's facing top running backs every week. That's the kid I want. That's the kid I want hitting, someone like Ahmed Hardy and making sure he's not going, he's going down. He's not bouncing off and going for 20 more yards.
Yes, sir.
You need backers who can hit the guys, like Kawan Lacey for Ole Miss, and the other guys. Texas A&M has some good running backs. Le'Veon Moss when he's healthy. When you watch those guys and know OU has to play those guys week in and week out. OU's got to have a big Mike linebacker who can, who can thump, can hit running backs, can get through the trash and get through the blocking and get to the guy. And when we watch your film, that's what you're consistently doing.
That's what I was going to say. If you're watching this film, that's not a problem. He gets to wherever the football is. Kristen Moore is, and there's no arm tackling. This is put your face mask in their chest and then make them feel pain. This guy is unreal good, man. Unreal good. It's been really cool watching, and I can't believe that you did all of this your senior season with a groin injury. I wouldn't get out of bed. I can't even imagine.
So, Kristen, you may not have these details down because I know you just committed to OU
Yes, sir.
just recently, the last couple of days. Do you think you might enroll early, or are you still weighing
Oh,
that
yes, sir, I
decision?
am. I'm
Okay,
leaving this month in January.
okay. Just wanted to ask, just because changing schools and all that, going from North Alabama and choosing Oklahoma. I just didn't know if you had time to get those to get that paperwork ready. But it sounds like you're good on that, and I think that's a
Yes,
great
sir.
move. That's a great move for you to
Great
enroll
move.
early. Um,
Absolutely.
there's so many. We'll see who OU has some linebackers who could leave for the NFL. So you're from the depth chart. You could, if you get in early and make some noise, you could be playing earlier than maybe than you think. But on the other side, let's just say somebody like Kobe McKenzie comes back. I can't think of like a better mentor for you to walk into spring and immediately have that, the guy who calls the OU defense right now, who has taken such leaps at OU and with the OU coaching staff. I can't think of I'm hoping he's around for you because I can't think of a better mentor. I mean, really, in terms of
You talking about Kip?
well, I'd love for Kip and Kobe to be there, but
Kobe. Yeah,
Kobe,
yeah, yeah.
Kobe's a Mike, and he has the green dot, right? So Brent's in his ear. So wow, Brent's in his ear telling him the plays, the lineups, and all that. He's like the
Along with West and Dryling.
yeah,
Yep.
he's like the general of the defense. So I think for if you have a chance to mentor with him the moment you get on campus, I think that would be huge for you. Would be a great opportunity for you, just because he doesn't. You can tell OU was missing him a couple of weeks, and you could tell they were missing him. Right when he
Yes,
got
sir.
back, you could just tell that the defensive calls were going smoother and all that. And I just know that that Mike linebacker. I mean, Brent's coached at least 5 Butkus winners in his history. The best linebacker in the country, and it's the Butkus Award, but we all know it should be the Bosworth Award. OU fans know that. It should be the Brian Bosworth Award. Um,
Yes.
Talk a little bit about, and obviously jumping in just a little bit, but talk about the relationship that you built with Coach Dryling and obviously Wes Goodwin as well coming up through this. Obviously, Brent Venables is a linebacker coach as well. But talk about the relationships that you kind of built with those two guys, because having both of them in that linebacker room seems to be paying off dividends for Oklahoma.
I would say Coach Jordan, he made it feel like home. When I first came up there on my official visit, I think I forgot coach was giving a speech and he told him come to his side and just wanted to welcome because that was his first time seeing me there. And like that's all I can say. He just made it feel like home. Like um, I just love having the type of bond that we have. Now
Yeah.
I really can't wait for this continue to make our bond bigger. I'm just ready to be coached by him. That's all. I'm ready to work. That's all. I'm just really excited.
how
Yeah,
how
and obviously he's a four-time All-American in his level, so this dude knows what he's doing when it comes to coaching
Yes,
these guys
sir.
up. They all seem to love him, man. Go ahead, Mr. Mason.
Yeah, sorry. Was it a little crazy post game LSU? Were you able to be with the team a little bit? I know you were visiting. You were on your official visit. So
Yes, sir.
was that a little crazy celebrating on the field with the team and all the fans?
Yes, sir, it was. I can say it was just a happy, great moment. It was very exciting. I love the atmosphere. I love the fan base. Like they
What
make
a
you feel like it's
performance
at
by
home.
those guys, right? What a performance by that
Yes,
defense, right?
Well,
The
that's
defense really just getting after it, weren't they? I mean, what was your feelings about how they played that night?
man. They never gave up. That's all I can say. They played their hard every single down. They never got tired. They went after the ball, after the ball, after the ball, over and over and over. And that's something I would love to do on that type of team, with them type of people. That's the type of football I would love to play.
Yeah, shout out to T Town Media here, Jonathan Lewis. He talks about two things that were always overlooked on you is how coachable you are and that football IQ, which you can definitely see come across in your film there. That you just seem to always, again, you're around the football because you seem to diagnose things quickly. Um, it's got to be really cool to have guys kind of. You were talking about talking to Jim Nagy and some of these other guys during the season. What do you want to see more? What do you want to see me do better at? And look, that's got to be helpful. I'm sure your coaches were excited about that as well, right?
Yes, sir.
so. I know it's been a little bit of a whirlwind, Kristen, for you. The last 2 weeks. Do you have an idea of what you might like to study in college?
Right now, I'm thinking about mechanic engineering.
Okay, great,
Oh, boy. Good stuff.
good
Good stuff.
stuff. So I
Listen, them engineers get it, man. The math geniuses and all that stuff. But
Yes, sir.
how's your family feeling about it? You said you were there with your mom. How's your
Uh,
mom feeling about it and everything?
she feels excited.
Are you with us?
has he froze? Has he frozen?
Looks like he
I'm
froze.
like on my official video.
Okay,
I think we lost him.
might have lost him.
Yes.
Sharp kid.
Love it, man. He is sharp, man. He's just with this, like I said, the second time I've been able to have him, and that smile is always there. So it's like he's got to be just a joy to coach, and just he wants to be better all the time. as Jonathan's saying, this kid was going under the radar for a while, and it's crazy that he was as good as he is, and being in the state of Alabama, they were even a little late on him and didn't want him to change
I think we're
positions.
getting him back. I think we're getting him
Yeah,
back
it looks
here.
like we are.
Yeah.
Christian, can you hear us now?
Hello?
Yep. I
Can you
think
hear
we
me?
got you back.
We don't have your video, but I've,
Yeah, I
I've got
can.
your
You can
sound.
hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
we
hear you.
got you. Yeah, just again, the question was about your mom. There, your mom,
Okay, I'm
your
sorry.
family and stuff. How
Okay,
excited are they about it?
very exciting. Like, example, my mom was I guess she's scared of planes, but she ended up driving up there because we only had two tickets. And I took my twin sister, 'cause she have a full scholarship up there also, and I took my oldest brother, and like really, just
Wait,
showing my
wait, wait,
mom
wait.
around. I'm just
Don't
I'm
glaze
just
over
happy I
that.
get to make her proud.
You don't glaze over that. Your sister has a
Huh?
full scholarship where? Your sister has a
Oh,
scholarship where?
oh, the University of Oklahoma,
Oh,
To
all right.
do
Well,
in
what?
Oklahoma.
Is she playing a sport or just academic?
Oh no, sir, academic.
that's
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 fantastic.
impressive too. So,
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on that as
So
well.
I'm
Your mom must be excited right now.
so you have
very excited. She couldn't miss it.
so
Yeah.
have you had to purge any Bama or Auburn gear because because of your signing with the Sooners? Have you had to change any, get rid of some Crimson Tide stuff and now going with Crimson and Cream stuff?
I would say just a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be hard finding OU gear in it's going to be finding OU gear in Alabama's going to be a little difficult.
You'll have the hookup. Not to worry. Not to worry. This is a good one. A good question here from Bishop. Thoughts on the Soul mission? How important? We talked a little bit about that the last time you were on, but how important was that to you and the family? I know it had to have been something that the family really liked.
I say
Oh, we lost him again. Okay, let's see if we get him back here. Awesome stuff. Yeah, Jonathan didn't appreciate that one there, uh, Mr. Mason. We lost you there for a
you
second.
guys can
What
hear
was
me.
that? I got you now. But we had just lost you. So the question was, what about the Soul Mission? What were your thoughts about that?
I was saying, like last time I was just saying, it teach you how to be a brother, a father, a husband, a uncle. Just certain things how to grill. I feel like that's something a lot of programs should have. They get to experience new things. Like a life after football. So like I feel like that's something. Like I told you, that's something that really caught my attention from the jump.
Yeah, I like the some of the international mission stuff they do. I think is really cool. Going to, I mean, they've gone to like Brazil, South Africa, and done, just doing kind of mission work. And I think that's to be able to give that exposure to to get that different exposure. I think is kind of that's kind of unique, and I think it's great that they do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, bud, we appreciate you coming on, man, and just wanted to congratulate you and get your thoughts and everything. Make sure you let the family know that we're thinking about you. We're so excited for you and your sister. Congratulations to her as well. For you guys are
Thank
going
you.
to be at Oklahoma. We're excited for you both. So look forward to getting more time to talk to you here in the future, and we'll talk to you soon, bud.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a
Have a
lot,
great one.
Kristen.
All
All
right.
right. Kristen Moore, Selma, Alabama. He started off the last time we talked to him. He had no stars. He's a 3-star now, and he is certainly going to be. I think it's a huge pickup for Oklahoma. And this. We still got the tweet from Jim Nagy up here. Listen, I think that we're starting to see kind of what you talked about early on, Mr. Mason, about you're gonna, you got to kind of for fans, you kind of have to recalibrate your thinking on the traditional what you see in these signing classes. The rankings don't necessarily add up to what you get. and part of it too is, with the NIL era, you kind of have to balance what you're getting in the high school recruiting with what you're doing to supplement and retention as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, so every player has kind of got a salary cap number,
Yeah.
right? And philosophically, Jim Nagy you can't have too much money on the sidelines, right?
Correct.
Like the
Correct.
Jay Knock thing will be something hopefully he learns from, and he won't make that mistake again and have that money sitting on the sideline, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't have money, and you need to develop kids as well. But I think one of the things Jim Nagy was so good at in the Senior Bowl was identifying lower level. And when I mean lower level, I mean less celebrated colleges, sometimes Division II players or
Sure.
players at universities that were struggling, and he was routinely able to mine all of those resources and bring players to the Senior Bowl that got drafted. So what OU fans need to understand a little bit is Jim Nagy's kind of taking that process, that methodology that has rigor and practices around it. It's a process. He has a method for doing this. Can't do something for 10 years like he did, as successful as he did, without having a true methodology to how he's doing it. So one of the things OU fans need to understand, and we lost a couple of kids before signing day that fit this model too, is his front office staff is looking at film, evaluating film, looking for the underappreciated prospects who normally, let's say Kristan had ended up at North Alabama before. That's where he had ended up, right? In 4 years, that would be the kind of guy, and yet he's a all Division II All-American. He's a All-American linebacker. That's the kind of guy that Jim Nagy would say, "Oh, he's great. I need to get him to the Senior Bowl so he can get drafted," right? So instead, Nagy's taking that same methodology and he's applying it to high schools, where he's going to find guys that are slightly underappreciated or just ignored because, guys fall through the cracks all the time. I mean, I feel like I'm doing a Missouri blog here, but Ahmad Hardy was at Louisiana, right?
Yep.
And he was and how did he end up there? I mean,
That's Marcus Dent. Marcus Dent had him on his 7-on-7 teams, and he was doing his camps and stuff. But yeah, he was the recruiting on him was slow. It
it was
was
slow.
slow.
I mean, look at the Genty kid at Boise State, right?
Yep.
In the middle of Texas, he was at, I think, Lone Star Frisco, OU, A&M, UT, all recruiting that high school, and they all miss on him. And he goes to Boise State, and he's the first. He was Doug Walker winner, and probably ideal. Maybe he was one of the top 3 players in college football last year. I think that's a fair statement.
Owen Heineke's right in our building right now. He was
Playing
playing
lacrosse.
lacrosse.
So what you have is that we need to understand that in recruiting, we're going to get the big kids, right? So if you wonder if OU's still going to get recruiting big kids, Crew Jones committed at the LSU game. He is a potential 5-star, elite-looking, first-round draft pick kind of defensive end. You watch his film, and it's like, holy crap, he's just killing kids out there. So they're still going to get these kids, right? Or Jonathan Hatton, right? Nagy helped the coaching staff get Hatton, right? Because he got involved with him. The front office staff built a relationship with him that can go with the relationship DeMarco had. And you got that kid. And he's a fringe 5-star in my opinion. When you just watch his film, you're like, that's kind of what an elite 5-star running back looks like. But so we're still gonna have those guys. But there's gonna be guys that we recruit where we're like, well, where did this guy come from? Where is this guy from? And Nagy's basically finding the guys that he knows.
One with Jake Cruel, another one like that too.
Yeah, we got Jake
We're
Cruel.
still getting guys like that.
Still going to get guys like that. But he's going to find guys you're like, well, who is this guy? And it's going to be because he's basically going to find the guys that OU might acquire in the portal in high school. Basically, like Matthew Nelson. When OU offered him in March, nobody had heard of him. Nagy took one look at his film and said, offer that guy. And then he verbaled immediately. And now everyone's like, oh, a 6'5", 225-pound guy who can blaze off the field, long wingspan, super athlete. You watch him running hurdles, and you're like, holy crap. And now the recruiting services have caught up, right? And they're like, oh, he's a 4-star, he's a top 300 player, right? And they didn't have any real ranking on him before. So we're going to see a combination of these things. We're still going to recruit high-profile kids, right?
Right.
But you look at the
Yeah.
27 class. Oh, you picked up a running back from Montgomery, Texas. Keldred Ben, I believe is how you say his name. And he went for 1,500 yards on 10 yards a carry. and rivals didn't have a profile for him.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they hadn't not. He wasn't unranked. He didn't have a low ranking. They didn't even know he was playing football.
Yeah.
And
No, I
OU,
mean, we've
and
seen this. We've seen this in the past too.
yeah,
I talk about this guy a lot, but a friend of mine from high school, son, playing in 6A football in San Antonio, had a 1,300-yard, 20 touchdown, 20 catch game in his senior season, and nobody knew who the hell he was.
it's just goofy. So
6'3" wide receiver.
so
Unbelievable.
so Jason, can I give you kind of an early preview of like my grades for the class and some position
Please do.
grades,
Yeah,
so
let's
we
do
can go by and discuss them. So
Yeah.
all right, so I like to do a quality grade and a quantity grade, right? Like what's the quality of what we're getting, and then are we really meeting our needs or not? So from that standpoint. So for a quarterback, OU has to sign a high school quarterback every year. I think sadly we discovered this spring, Jason, the 2 quarterback thing just doesn't work, does it? It doesn't. So signing 2 high school quarterbacks is not really any, there's no benefit to it. So if you get a quarterback, great. So quality grade is an A, and I think Bo Bentley had a very good senior year. He's ranked highly by the services. I like his film. He's a good fit for what we're doing offensively. Jaden O'Neal also has had a very good year. So that story will hopefully work out in both directions. So I'm going to give OU a quantity and a quality grade of A at quarterback. They got the guy they wanted. He had a good junior year. He's had a great senior year. He's been very productive. So that's what I would go there.
Okay.
At running back, I would give them a quality grade of A-. That's just because DeZephon Walker, I don't think, his film doesn't say elite. I think he's going to be very good for OU. He fits what's going on. There's a couple of comments in there about St. Louis running backs and how successful they are. So it's the problem with DeZephon is his high school team kind of fell apart. They went 0-10. He was they had no offense, so it's hard for DeZephon to really get highlights because, guys, when you go 0-10, your offense isn't very good, and your O-line's probably not very good. So if you're a blue-chip running back, it's very easy for your opponent to scheme a defense, right? It just is. But Jonathan Hatton makes that an A-. Quantity grade, Jason, I think 2 high school running backs were an absolute need with everything going on with possible transitions. And I think both Hatton and Walker, if they enroll early, will get heavy work this spring because we need to spread the load out from Blaylock and X-Rob. So it's a good chance to get 2 running high school. 2, we may see a transfer running back. You and I've have heard some rumors of some names. We're not prepared to go with that because that's not really fair to the kid. But we've been hearing some rumors. But I think these 2 kids, because Hatton's 220, Walker's 6'205", so they're big kids, and I think that syncs up well with what we're doing.
Right, no doubt.
Yeah. So on tight end, again, a quality grade of A-. Ryder Mix, before he got hurt, was playing really well, and Tyler Ruxer has had a fantastic senior year. If you haven't watched his film, watch that film. I think he is a legit good spring, 15, 20 pounds. He could be a co-starter or easily in the 2-3 deep at tight end and make plays for OU. He's his wide receiver, he plays cornerback for them in high school at 6'4", 225, and he's picking passes off. I mean, it's not just you watch him, but he's covering. So he's covering guys. So it's really, I think it's a really good addition. We had to get some true tight end talent into the room. The thing about it is Ryder Mix and Ruxer, they play tight end. They are tight ends. We don't have to move somebody from linebacker linebacker to tight end or wide receiver to tight end. These guys are tight ends in high school, especially Ryder Mix. Ryder Mix buries people in blocking. So we now have basically, and Tyler Ruxer is a very good blocker. Like, he knows the angles, he knows what he's doing. As I repeated, Gabe Eichert often says, you don't have to crush people at tight end. Just move them, slant them, get in their way. There's a lot of that nuance to the tight end game that works, right? So I think both the tight ends, 2 tight ends, quantity grade, that's an A. All right, let's get to all right, so I'll do O-line next. Let's get the bad news out of the way. Quality-wise, I love Noah Best and Deacon Schmidt. Deacon Schmidt is 6'5", 310, and he buries people at right tackle.
Absolutely.
And he could play right guard easily or left guard. I think the only position he might struggle at is left tackle. I mean, if he could snap the ball, he would be a bruising interior center anchor for you. Noah Best, same thing. He's an offense. He's a guard. He could play center. He's 6'4", 310, and if you watch his Midlothian highlights in that team, they are burying people. And Noah Best has a bad attitude about hitting people.
I love it.
I like both.
He would block his grandma type of guys.
Yeah, basically knock his grandma off across the goal line to get the running back a touchdown.
Love it.
But the problem is there's just 2 of them.
Yeah.
So where it's a B+ quality wise, and I think Best is highly underappreciated. Schmidt is like a top 200 guy. I think Best is a 3-star right now. He should be a 4-star, but whatever. But we need 4 guys. You have 2 guys. 4 would have gotten you in like the A territory for quantity. So I got C-. You want to argue with me that it's D+? Not going to argue with you that. We're talking the difference between a 68 and a 72 on your paper, right? That's we're talking D+, C-. So I'm hoping OU tried to get guys in. They lost 2 of them. They didn't offer one guy that came in. I'm hoping that OU does not ignore the February signing day and mines their scouting and evaluation, finds at least one guy in the January recruiting time period to sign in February. You got to have more guys from high school.
Mr. Jason, let me ask you a question about that. Do you feel like this has something to do with the fact that they have a young offensive line that's in place as we speak? We're talking about 2 true freshmen starting at both tackles. Obviously you saw the one move into guard last week. Colin Simmons ended up playing on the edge. Not Colin Simmons, but Simmons.
Derek Simmons.
Derek Simmons. Yeah, sorry. Moving out to that whenever you had an injury, and obviously from the center position having to move Pabechi Wiwu to play that position, which by the way he played very well. But to have 2 guys like that, you've got other guys that are.
Well, and EPL's a redshirt freshman, so
redshirt freshman EPL. You've got Dent, who's a redshirt freshman as well. That he didn't get in this year either, but right now you still have him in the mix. You still have some of these younger guys.
Akin Kimmy is probably a year away from. This is the spring where he starts to make a move. Darius Afalava.
I was going to say Darius Afalava. These other guys. This is pretty young. Do you feel like this is one of those positions or rooms that you're going to probably see more guys coming in from the transfer portal that can make an immediate impact, if anything?
I think the young O-line hurt us a little bit with some of these kids that we tried to pick up at the end.
Yeah.
I think other schools were like, well, you're just going to sit at OU for 3 years and not play. Right? I know OU's pitching
it's tough to argue against that, right?
Yeah, and I know OU's pitching a development model too. Like, look, And these guys are pretty raw. They're not ready to start. So I think that message kind of gets combined, and it becomes difficult. Sometimes you leave yourself open to you're just going to sit at OU and not play. That message. So I think that did hurt us with a couple of kids. I think some kids like Noah Best and Schmidt, who you have a longer relationship with, they camped at OU. They've camped at OU for 2 years. They know Bill. They know what they need. They know they've seen the improvement year over year they've had. And those two guys could seriously be, it wouldn't be a sign of that the O-line's struggling if Best and Schmidt got into the too deep, right? Because they both are physically ready to play. These are big kids who physically already have that nastiness that you want, that physicality that you want. So there's technique and there's learning the offense, but yeah. So I do think OU with 4 starters returning and I think it is hurting a little bit in 2026, 2027. I think the gap is bigger there. So when you're Cooper Hackett, he sees Fasusi and Foji, and he's like, okay, no problem. I sit behind them for a year, then I can take over. But someone this year, like Felix Ojo, basically once we started starting Fasusi and Foji, and it looked like those guys were just going to, slide in. Even if OU wanted to compete with Tech at the number, why would Ojo choose OU when he knows he's behind Fasusi and Foji, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whereas Tech is telling him, sign with us and you're starting as a freshman, right?
And they're kicking him a boatload of cash. It's not hard to understand anyway.
Right, but it's multiple layers. It's multi-layers to it.
It's
not
multi-layered, for sure. Absolutely. I think there's levels to all of it. But what we're seeing, that's why I asked the question, is you look at this in a sense of you've got multiple freshmen starting, 3 freshmen starting on the offensive line currently.
Yeah.
One being a redshirt freshman.
Yeah, but it doesn't. That doesn't really make a difference.
Still a freshman. Yeah, he's still a freshman.
Yeah, I mean, so I do think it hurt us with the guys we tried to acquire late. Like the guys who have been growing up with Bill, going to camp. This is the one thing I'm starting to see is that the camp O-line recruiting. If the guy's been to OU's camps, it's a massive advantage for OU. Because they know Bill, they know. Oh man, I went to camp and Bill told me I need to work on 15 different things I didn't even know about, right? So and then I went back to camp the next year and I'm better on them. I'm doing better. Those guys kind of get that. Well, I'm still not. I'm still a little. They get the process. When you start offering a guy 2 weeks before signing day, who doesn't know Bill and hasn't been at Bill's camp, doesn't know how far away they are from being really ready to play at the SEC level. Then Houston says, well, you can start for us next week. And you're like, okay, whatever. You can start for us next week. And that message just sort of, it rings a little truer. So Daniel Ekinkimi, he got hurt last year. He's doing really well. I think his spring is when you'll see this. This is the OU when they took him knew there was a development window that had to occur, right? Can't go from playing basketball and soccer in the Midlands of England to playing football your first time when you're 17 at an academy for a year.
Even though he was killing it, but yeah, there's a lot of nuance to it. Levels, as you said, there's levels to it.
There's levels. So he's redshirted, and he was hurt. That set him back. But he's had a full year of stacking practices. I mean, guys, we see this. Sometimes when you get hurt, if you're a guy that's a little raw, it really sets you back. Like we saw that with PJ, right? This is the first year PJ has been able to play every game and practice spring, summer, and August.
Yep.
and you can see it on the field, the difference it makes.
Yeah, he's
So,
matured. He's matured in front of our eyes this year, and
yep,
at a fast rate, right?
yep. So let's just burn through the rest of these positions. So at wide receiver, I'm giving a quality grade of B plus. I like Pettit. I like Odom. I like Jasir Rogers. I think they are all A plus, A kind of wide receivers. Pettit may even be a little bit in that like elite status. Xavier Okafueleze, I think I got that mostly right. He's a bit of a project. He knows that, but this is one of these ones where it could pay off big for OU, right? So it's he just needs some seasoning and development. But in terms of what we needed in the room, I'm going to give us a quantity grade, bringing 4 guys. Hopefully they all enroll early with 3 guys possibly helping the rotation. I think that's big for the Sooners. So at defensive tackle, I'm giving it a B plus grade, and that's mainly I don't know what the recruiting services are doing with Brian Harris. His film is ridiculous. It's top 100, top 200 quality, and he's 6'3", 6'4", 290,
Absolutely.
and
I
you
think it's
just
ridiculous.
and
Absolutely.
you watch his film, and he's making 5-star plays out there. I'm just like, what is going on? So, and Carrington, if Carrington can show up in Norman around 270, 275, he's agile and he's got a great burst off the line. He could be Grayson Holton again. He's a Grayson Holton type talent. He really is. He could be 6'3", 285, lightning quick inside. At the side, we all know how OU can use a lightning quick 3 technique. We've got big defensive tackles, but you see what Grayson's done over the last 2 years as the quick 3, right? And he's going to get drafted. And if you watch the LSU game, I mean, he almost took that fumble return. He's so close to catching that option pitch and taking it for a touchdown. So that's where I think Carrington's ceiling is. Quantity grade, a B. I think we needed 3 tackles. That's why they wanted Teron Richardson. So we'll see what OU does there in the portal. Or do they find a guy they like in February? Less chances of that. One thing is that Todd Bates had a lot of chances to double back on defensive tackles, and he passed a number of times on several kids. So he must feel very strongly about Harris and Carrington. And if we're going to give any coach on the defensive side, I think most of the defensive coaches have kind of earned a little bit of well, if Todd Bates thinks these 2 guys are going to be legit, I'm fine sitting with that. But I still think they would have liked another defensive tackle. They tried to get the Franklin kid. And they had Teron Richardson. So, from that perspective. Defensive end, quality grade, A minus. Kroll is 5-star. Daniel Norman is a top 300. Nelson's a top 300. Chavis knocked it out of the park at defensive end, and he's showing no signs of stopping. With Crew Jones already in the mix for 2027.
Right. No doubt.
And I give that an A. 3. If you add 3 defensive ends to this mix, to what we're doing, I know we're going to lose some guys coming up, but these 3 guys get in the mix.
We've also got some guys coming up that haven't played a lot too. So yeah.
Why Gilmore and C.J. Nixon are your next names to memorize. If you see some of the photos Chavis takes with his group after big wins, C.J. Nixon looks as big as P.J. So, and he's got a burst that P.J. probably doesn't have. Nixon, if you watch Nixon tomahawk dunking,
I was going to say, watch the guy play basketball. He hit the game winner in the state championship game this past year at his high school in Oklahoma. He is legit. Everything that you want in an athlete, you get in this guy. You could probably put him anywhere on the field, and he's going to be that guy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's just one of those dudes that he's a fantastic athlete. I can't wait to see more CJ Nixon. Guys like Nigel Smith, same thing. This is a basketball playing defensive tackle that has put on a lot of weight. You're going to see, I think that he steps into that Grayson Halton role. And he was part of that power line as well. So when you start talking about guys like you were saying, the kid from Minnesota is
Wyatt Gilmore.
Wyatt Gilmore. Yeah, stud, man, stud. And we keep hearing about Taylor Wine in him, right?
Yeah, I mean it's that. So defensive end is just humming. Linebacker, I'm giving it a B grade just because I'm a little worried about Bo Jandro and the injury situation, losing his whole senior year.
Okay.
Kristen Moore just needs to develop, and with that transition to Mike linebacker, he's done well, but it's still he needs. There's going to be some transition learning curves there.
This is a sponge kid. You expect him to get. It's going to take some time, though.
Take a little time, but it could be a hockey stick, right? Like it could simmer a little bit, like, hey, what's up with that guy? And then it's like that, like, wow, where the hell did he come from?
Right.
I love Jacob Curry at will linebacker. Big addition. I think he's a perfect fit for what we needed as a will every down linebacker. Some people talk about him like a cheetah in safety. Once Nate Dreiling gets him in his room, I'm thinking he's gonna be like, stay away. He's my will linebacker. Stay away. And that kid, his film's really good. I mean, a lot of what you see with the defensive film, Jason, is these guys run hot. I mean, it's all motor. There's no like, hey, get going a little bit. It's like, whoa, back off a little bit. It's so. But Dane Bathurst, he could be Danny Stutzman. He's that athletic. He's that big, but he's got to make the transition to linebacker. If it doesn't work, you could just move him to have him be a big Sam, rush end, rush outside linebacker, a kind of a piece like that Brent likes to use, because he's really good off the edge. But yeah, OU needs big Mike linebackers for the SEC. I think it's a little bit of a finding, different than the Big 12, right? We're playing Missouri every year. We're going to be playing that zone run game every year. You've got to have a big Mike linebacker who can stop the run, because you're going to be playing those guys every year like that. So, but I think it's a quantity grade. It's an A. There's 4 guys. I think Bo Jandro can play will a little bit as well. As long as Bo can stay healthy, everyone thought he was a super acquisition for OU, that Texas and Oregon wanted him. And then we didn't see his senior film. So if he stays healthy and hits and plays as the OU staff thinks he will, he could blow this linebacker class grade like way higher. Same thing with Tristan Moore, and again, the Bathurst kid can adjust him to playing Mike. He's like a Stutzman. He's Danny's 6'3.5", 240, something like that. And Bathurst is that big.
Yes.
Then I'm combining safety and cheetah. OU didn't need a lot of guys here, right? We sealed the young depth, right? But Nico Jandro is a true cheetah, so that's a good fit for OU. And Markel Ford is a true safety. He's 6'1", 205. He's very athletic, fast. He's a really good-looking safety prospect. And again, he's got some time to bake a little bit, right? Because we have safety depth, but he could be kind of a Peyton Bowen kind of guy. He's got that level of athleticism. Hasn't had Peyton's success rate in high school, but again, Brandon Hall's wanted this guy for 2 years. Just like Todd Bates, Brandon Hall's got all kinds of credit with me in terms of recruiting guys and developing guys at safety. And if Brandon Hall wants this guy, I'm gonna say I think Brandon Hall has earned with our fan base to just trust that.
Trust him. Yeah. Look, and everything that these guys have been doing, Brandon Hall hasn't. Where's the miss? I haven't seen one of them yet. He hasn't missed anybody so far.
No, I mean
So
Reggie Powers, Boganowski,
yeah, yeah.
Hardy, Amarian
Hard.
Robinson, and that's not
You
even
got guys
count.
from last one that are coming in that they're expecting a lot from as well. So
Yeah,
this is a pipeline that he's been bringing in here. That again, I feel like this is a situation when you start looking at this defensive staff. Oklahoma is very blessed and lucky to have this level of coach at every position.
yeah,
At
it's
every position group.
yeah. So I'm giving them a B plus because we didn't need a safety and we got a safety Brandon Hall wants. I
Mhm.
like that. Then at cornerback, oh, you could have skipped the cornerback position. Instead, they got Derek Johnson from California. I'm giving a B plus quality grade. I think that's a little low. He's had a great senior year. He's 6'2", 175 pounds, 180 pounds. He fits what OU wants. If for some reason he bulks up and you want to try him at safety, that'll work too. And OU didn't need a cornerback, not with the cornerback class they signed last year. They signed one, so I'm giving them a B plus. So overall, I think, and there are grades to this. So if somebody wanted to argue a lower one here or slightly different, but I think quality wise, with the top 15 class, I'm going to give that a B plus. Especially since I think there's 3 or 4 kids in the class who are badly underrated by the services, right? So if you're asking me, well, how do you do that? Like, so a top 10 class is an A class, right? That's an A. You know, you could argue a top 5 class might be A plus, and I would say, yeah, we could talk about that. So top 15 puts you right in the B plus sort of territory. Quantity wise, I think OU restacked their numbers in a couple of key areas here: linebacker, running back, tight end, and wide receiver. I think they did a good job there. Defensive end, they also added a lot of depth there. Defensive tackle, they did a pretty good job. The only thing stopping this from being sort of an A quantity wise is the offensive line, right? If you added 2 more offensive linemen in this class, it would be hard to argue from a quantity standpoint that OU hasn't restocked their roster with guys that will help them 2 years from now when we've matriculated out or NFL'd out, especially on the defensive side, some of our best playmakers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say. But if you want to say it's quality wise, it's a B, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to argue with you there. If you think a top 15 class equals a B, then sure, I wouldn't argue that. If you want to
I think
say,
it's. I mean, look, I think that you could go a little higher than that, BB plus, whatever. I think, and when it boils down to it, I think you really don't know what they are until the next couple of years when you see how they play. But and I also think that this is a time that you have to really look at again. I don't trust, and I've seen a couple of things in this. Well, even just in our comments here, talking about these some of these recruiting sites are a joke. And a guy like Ryan Harris, the fact that they're not putting him up when he's putting up numbers at Florida high schools, playing against some of the best competition in the country week after week and dominating. I don't understand where you're coming from on that. And he's been locked into Oklahoma since they got him. He's helping recruit for Oklahoma since they got him. And again, a guy like I just showed you guys all the Kristen Moore film. He's unfreaking believable. And did all of that with a torn groin, by the way. And nobody knew anything about him until he hit the camp at Oklahoma over the summer. This is a serious. There are gaps in recruiting that are huge gaps, and all it has to do with is they're not showing up at these $150 or $500 camps, or
yeah,
or even $150 just to get your name on their damn recruiting site.
yeah. So from a certain perspective, in terms of you're talking about we don't really know until a year later, right? So if you look at the 2025 class, Jason, which wasn't highly ranked, right? It was a smaller class, wasn't highly ranked, and you look now at that class, right? So right now, that class has produced, well, let's just go through Blaylock, Guillory, Foji, Fasusi. So it's already produced, I'm probably missing somebody, 4 starters, right? And I think it's pretty obvious next year, we're going to see more contributions from players like Trent Wilson, Amarian Robinson, probably Malik Hawkins, maybe Tristan Haynes. That when I look at that class, there's about 15, it's like 18 guys that we signed, I think, right now with all the whatever attrition. It's 18 guys. I look at that class, there's 15 guys I'm reasonably confident that are going to make injuries, development off the field, all that notwithstanding. There's 15 guys I'm like, yeah, I think those guys are probably going to be a factor at some point in the OU 2 deep, 3 deep. When you're talking about guys like Marcus Wimberly, who was injured, he could be a cheetah. He's a Brandon Hall safety. Marcus James, the Midwest City guy, he's 6'4", 230, jumps out of the gym. What he'll be at linebacker, I don't know, but he's got every bit of physicality. Trinae Washington could play 3 or 4 spots, leave him at tight end, move him to defensive end, tell him to drop some weight, be a cheetah, be a linebacker. You've just got lots of pieces in the class. I think Darius Afalava, when healthy this spring. I just think there's a lot of guys, we've got some postseason, we'll be doing that regular stuff with Chris, talking about, guys to watch in spring and all that kind of stuff. Well, we got all that stuff teed up once the playoff run, hopefully, the playoff run, lasts a while. We got too much playoff stuff to talk about. But after that, but when you look at that class a year later, and it's already like, well, Guillory and Blaylock were badly underranked. Yep. And then you look at Amarian Robinson; he was probably underranked.
So was Eli Bowen.
Exactly. People forget Eli Bowen was a 3-star by number of services.
Yeah, and he had a 5-star brother and led the team for 3 years in interceptions.
Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting to see. Everyone asks me. I was talking to a fellow Sooner fan. They said, "Well, what guys do you think could be impact guys from this class? How do they help us this fall?" And I'm like, "Well, I think there's 4 or 5 guys that could really help: Tyler Ruxer, Jaden Petit, Jonathan Hatton, J. Sear Rogers, Jake Krull, and maybe Brian Harris, right off the top. And that's before anybody gets to spring, gets to OU, puts some quality weight on. And that, Jason, I think one of the things that we'll probably see this spring is that a lot of the young kids on defense are probably going to get a lot of run. Right? You don't need Jaden Jackson out there busting his ass for 3 weeks.
No, of course not.
Right? So Nigel Smith, Trent Wilson, we may hear like, okay, because you're just going to hear like a lot of those names, right, bubbling up.
Jake Krull, some of these other guys coming in, as you said, Wyatt Gilmore. There's some of these dudes that are going to have opportunities to get in there into the mix. They didn't really. Sheila Smith was asking about Nigel Smith, and that's hard to get any reps in this room. Trent Wilson looks like he's 40. But he can't get in there either because, you just got a stacked, loaded, 4-man front there. Or, 2-man on the 4 guys out there. So
you think, oh, well, there's a couple of guys that banged up. I'll get in there. No, sorry, Marcus Strong is just going to get in there and look like he could start at 90% of the colleges, 90% of the D-lines in Division I football. I mean, Marcus Strong starts at most schools in the Big 12.
Yeah. Who are the mid-years? Okay, Chris is asking. Then we're going to jump to Jim Nagy's press conference and call it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Chris, I'm imagining Okay, Chris Griffin, I'm imagining that almost everybody, OU is not looking for high school guys that are not mid-years signing in December.
Kristen Moore's coming for sure. We know that because we
Yeah.
asked him.
Yeah,
Right?
I felt I didn't want to ambush you with that question, but you could tell he was like, "Oh, of course, I got my stuff together. Of course, I'm going early." But when he made, when you switch schools, I just wanted to make sure. Um, do I have an eidetic memory? No, I have a very good trivia memory. Do not play Trivial Pursuit with me. Don't play bar trivia with me. I have won Trivial Pursuit games where somebody said in college, "You're like, you want to play Trivial Pursuit?" Sure. I never gave the dice up. Literally just won it. Won it, completely for those. So I'm the last guy. I'm the guy you want on your bar trivia. I'm the guy you don't want to play. You don't want to see on the opposing bar trivia teams. And recruiting wise, my brain, there's probably like a cure to 4 diseases up here. But the fact I can rattle off the OU's recruiting class from 2001 and who the big misses were is denying us that information. So that's my mind and memory there. Jason, thanks so much for setting us up to have a midday talk. We're going to try, if Chris Griffin's available, we're going to try and do something at 8 o'clock tonight Central. Do another recap. Have a little bit of a talk about this. We may wander into some playoff season ending stuff as well. But definitely, thanks so much for setting us up. Thanks for setting up Kristen Moore. It's great talking to the kid. You can just tell it won't. He will be successful at OU. He looks like he will be successful at OU because all the support around him that OU will provide, he's just going to soak up and eat.
Yeah, he's a good kid. I mean, he's one of those guys that you can tell he just lives and breathes the process, right? Lives and breathes the process. So he's so excited. As I said, that smile has been plastered on his face every time I've seen him. And whether it's been on my show or some of the other shows he's been on, he's loving the process. He wasn't jaded by the fact that he wasn't being looked at as much as he thought he should be. This is an A1 get for Oklahoma, I think, and I also believe that a lot of these guys. Look, I'm excited about this class. I think that again, you have to recalibrate your thinking in terms of what these recruiting classes look like. I mean, I think you could have a higher ranking next year, and I think a lot of that is going to depend on. Again, we talked about the Saban bump in years past. I think that you're going to start seeing more if you continue putting out defenses like this with guys like they're putting them out with guys like Taylor Wine coming out of nowhere and being a big time player when you lose R. Mason Thomas. R. Mason Thomas himself, another 3-star guy, right? You know what I mean? This is a guy that we're talking about. These guys are making names for themselves at this level, playing for Oklahoma and Brent Venables. They're going to start bumping them up based on the evaluations of this staff, I would think. So,
Yeah. And we haven't.
but until that happens, you're going to have to start kind of recalibrating and realize they know what they're doing here. They know what they're doing here.
Yeah, and also
we didn't forget.
We haven't.
Or Elijah Thomas, my guy.
We're just waiting for them to hit the field, guys.
Yeah, we did not. We were talking about defense is why we were talking about that.
Yeah, but you also we haven't even seen the NFL bump yet. Right? That we're going to start routinely sending first and second day NFL draft picks. We haven't even seen the recruiting bump yet from Nagy advertising our draft day numbers. Right? Because we didn't have many guys drafted last year. This year, we're going to have cats drafted, right? And then the next year, we're going to have more guys drafted. And the following year, I mean, once that stuff starts clicking in, you're right, UNCTG. Nagy is not going to pay, and Nagy isn't going to think some of the 5 stars that the services think of 5 stars are 5 stars. They're not worth 5-star NIL money to sit for 2 years not playing. You can't do that. You can't do that. I mean, Again,
We
that's
talked
why.
about that. We talked about that with the kid that was going to Oklahoma State. That what was his name? The
Overton.
defensive line guy, Taj
Overton.
Overton.
Yeah.
He's the guy that was undersized to be able to come in and make an immediate impact. If that's it has nothing to do with whether he's going to be a good player or not. I believe he is, but his development is going to take time, and they're looking for guys that can impact today. So I think that's what you're more looking for.
So Soon for Occasional Life has a good question. They were drafted, right? But where were they drafted?
Right.
Where were they drafted, right? So we're talking
And
about the.
it was just those guys too. You didn't have a bunch of dudes get drafted.
So we're talking
Like when
about.
you start getting 5 to 10, and like you used to in the past, then you'll see this bump back up again. But watch this. Watch just this. What this season did with the rankings being what they are, and you're going to have guys like you've got Dominic Williams that's going to go, into the draft. Obviously, R. Mason. These are early. These are early round guys.
Grayson Halton,
Grayson Hall's another early
Robert,
round guy.
Robert Spears Jennings is going to get. And what OU's done for Marvin Jones Jr. and Kendall Daniels is huge.
Mm-hmm. Kendall Daniels, Marvin Jones Jr. These are guys that Marvin Jones was a 5-star, and he was undervalued, or he was underperforming at his last 2 stops. He's had a monster year at Oklahoma, and being able to get a lot of film that NFL guys can be like, okay, that's what we expected from him
And
before.
there's still more for him. He hasn't. I mean, if he could come back for a year, he might skyrocket in our program, right?
Absolutely.
Same for
Absolutely.
Kendall Daniels. If Kendall Daniels could come back for a year, he could be an All-American. But those guys, they're out of eligibility. But OU has fixed their reputations and has
Absolutely.
built film where an NFL guy will be like,
And Grayson, yeah, you're asking Halton Sooners for life. Grayson
"Oh yeah,
Halton has done his thing this year and last year. He's been one of the highest rated guys by Pro Football Focus, and he's delivering week to week to week. These guys, it's going to change around here. But again, I don't. The point I'm trying to make is, fuck the rankings. What do they have? What are they doing on the field? We're trusting these guys to make the right decisions on who they're getting. I'm one of the people that say, as much as I like the idea of what Jim Nagy brings to the table with his staff, I've never been under the assumption that this staff doesn't recruit well. They do. We know they do.
They always have. The dip
Right.
here, if you want to call it a dip, it's because of the negativity off the field in terms of Brent's being fired, right? Nagy reshuffled the deck a little bit. There were some higher value guys that we could have signed that were higher recruits that Nagy didn't feel like had NFL measurables. And that's why we moved on from them. I won't go into the names, but you guys can look back and see different podcasts. And it's signing day. I'm not raining on any kids' parade today, right? It's signing day. So, but there are guys that we moved on from that we could have easily signed that are high-rated recruits. But OU didn't feel like they didn't feel like they were worth what the services said they were. Nagy's like, you think they're worth X, I think they're worth Y. And they're not going to, and if they take Y, that's fine, but they want X, and some other school's going to give them X. So that's the key to that. So, but Jason, I think we're going to take a break here. I'm going to grab some lunch, watch some press conferences.
I'm going to go ahead and play. Yeah, I'm going to play this Jim Nagy deal, and then I'm going to be out of here as well. But appreciate you coming in, Mr. Mason, and giving us all
I appreciate you having me on. And guys, we're going to be back tonight with another wrap up, a chance for a Q&A on all that tonight. I'm going to do that with Chris Griffin. Jason, we'll let you know if you can join us again. Great for opinions, but if you're tied up, understand.
Okay, sounds good, my man. Appreciate you.
Bye.
All right, bud. All right. Mr. Mason, Chris Mason from Sooners360. Guys, make sure you get over there and check out his show. Become a subscriber. Is my audio better now? Give me a 1 if it sounds better than it did earlier. It was coming through on my earbuds instead of on the DJI mic. So hopefully it sounds a little better now. I don't know how long that was going on, but that sucks. So yeah. Anyway, real quick. Perfect. Thank you, Craig. I'm going to go ahead and run this Jim Nagy talking about signing day real quick. This is coming off a Twitter feed, so hold tight for that.
Good. How are we doing? My list of thank yous is going to be a little bit longer than Brent's. He gets up here a little more than I do, so I'm going to take advantage of my opportunity to thank some folks. Starting with our senior leadership with President Harris and Randall Stevenson and Joe Castiglione. Just without their leadership, none of this would be possible. They're unbelievable. Someone asked, I get a lot of questions from my friends around the NFL curious about the job and how things are going, and I point to that first. That group of men and Coach Venables making this job very enjoyable. The Board of Regents, all our donors, the fans, everyone that supports the program. Hopefully we will be playing one more game out there inside the Palace. That would be great. Want to thank Coach Venables and the entire staff. I mean, this has been, used the word collaboration a lot at the first press conference, and to see it play itself out has been really fun. It's been really cool. The group's really coming together. I'm already moving in this 27 cycle. It's just going to keep getting better and better. So that's been great. Coaches have done an unbelievable job because they've just done an unbelievable job. They deserve the shout out. I'll start with the assistant GMs, Lake Dawson and Taylor Red. State student help we get. Couldn't do it without those guys. Strength and conditioning staff, Schmitty, James Dobson, the crew, porch of our recruiting efforts. They do an unbelievable job. As you all know, being around the program, that's Brent's baby. But I think they might have worked all the way through. As Brent said, I listened to his portion of it. I won't go player by player. I'll just kind of sum up the position group. He did a great job kind of wrapping those guys up with his thoughts, and I'll answer anything. Love this class. Love where we ended up here with the 23 players. Or is it 24 now? Is it 24 with Petit? 24 players. Yeah, if you would have told me back in March when I got here, I remember looking at the board they had in place and the names that were up there. To be here, standing here in December with this group of young men, it's pretty exciting. So I want to say we added 8 post the June OVs. So we had 8 full. We kind of thought that would happen. We kind of felt like we were going to have a good team. We thought if we had success on the field that things would start to turn, momentum would start to turn. We'd be able to flip some players. We'd be able to identify some guys that were maybe under the radar, which we were able to do both things. So that really worked out. Momentum is a real thing in recruiting. I learned that this cycle. I've learned a lot this cycle. I'm learning every day on this job, but that's clearly a big deal. You know, working in the NFL, I always heard that you shouldn't negative recruit. In college, I learned real quickly on this job, people were negative recruiting. So that was probably working against us. And now that we had some success on the field, we had some players come back our way. So starting on the defensive side of the ball with, Brent talked about that front group. So we've got 5 guys coming in. I think the things that stand out are length and versatility and athleticism. That group got longer, more versatile, more athletic. You have to be athletic to play in our front. You guys know that watching us. So guys with those movement skills to be able to come off twists and games and those things. So really fun group. Linebackers, man, we got three of these 4 guys this fall. Dane Bathurst, Jacob Curry, and Kristen Moore. I think the thing that stands out with these guys, they are just innately physical. There's some violence in that group. That's one of the pillars of the program. We're looking for violent players. All these guys suit that, including Bo Jandrew. He and his brother Nico just had a great FaceTime with all these guys this morning when they signed. We FaceTimed all of them as a group. Bo and Nico are, as Coach Venables talked about, I think they're going to come in here and make an impact in this program, not just on the field, but the types of guys they are off the field. So that group of Dane and Jacob and Bo and Kristen Moore, just a really cool group of players. We're excited about those guys. They're going to be the core of our special teams moving forward. I would expect all those guys to really push for significant roles as freshmen in that capacity. And then in the defensive backfield, Derek Johnson was our only corner. Kind of wish we could have added a couple more there, but I'm excited about the haul we're going to get in 27 without naming names. And then the 2 safeties, Nico Jandreau and Markel Ford, 2 of my favorite guys from when I came in here in March. Love the Jandreau brothers. Markel Ford D.D. Ford was a real favorite of mine. Again, like Brent said, he decided to go somewhere else, and at the last minute, B. Hall, I think our coaches did a great job of staying on a lot of these players, and Brandon Hall deserves a lot of credit for that relationship, and Dede and his mom circled back, and man, the guy, like Brent said, he played a lot of corner this year, but I see him as a safety, but he does have really nice man coverage skills for his safety, and the common theme with a lot of these guys on defense, they are going to fly around and I got to watch my words here, but they're going to knock your head off. So it's going to be a fast and violent defense moving forward. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Really versatile players. Offensively, starting with Bo, I mean, I think you just say he's a winner. He's never lost a game. Cool to see him in the locker room the other day. He had his arm in a sling. I didn't know what that was about. So he's going to gut it out and play in the state title game this week. But seeing Bo, the cool thing with Bo being so close to home, he's been here basically every week. He's been around this team. He's seen why this team has been successful, the grittiness it's taken for this team to go 10-2, and he's just been around it. You know, it feels like Bo's been a part of this team this fall. A couple of these guys, Noah Best. I mean, there's a few guys that have been, feels like at every game. But for our future leader of this football team to be around it and see John and see this team, it's been really valuable. So love Bo Bentley, love all he's about, love the family. They've done a great job with them. Offensive line, another group I wish we could have added a couple more numbers there. But the two we got I really like, Noah Best and Deacon Schmidt. Position versatility is key. And, you know, Deacon's ability to play both guard and tackle, and then Noah more interior guard to center is going to be huge. We can't have any one-position players moving forward. That gets you in a lot of trouble with your roster. So both those guys can move around quite a bit. Deacon Schmidt is just a lot of fun to watch. He is a absolute bully. He's going to be the benchmark moving forward of guys we want to add to this program on the offensive line. Had a great FaceTime with him today. He has had his OU parking spot at high school painted out all fall, which is pretty awesome. He and his family are all about OU. The running backs, Jonathan Hatton, Devin Walker, two SEC backs. They've got size. They can make you miss. They can absorb contact. They're physical runners. Really excited about those two guys, adding those two guys in the mix. And then at receiver, we had Jaden Petit crossed off here, but now that he's in the fold, it's a really cool group. Jaden Petit, as Brent said, we chased him pretty hard. He was one of my favorite players when I got here in March that was currently on the board. Daniel Odom was committed. Love Daniel's game. Zizi and then Jasir. It's a nice group in that they have a really complementary skill set. A lot of people talk about putting together a basketball team at the wide receiver position. Didn't do that intentionally. We were just trying to add playmakers, guys that could do something with the ball in their hands.
Obviously, we'll go ahead and get out of that. But big class for Oklahoma. I know a lot, and even Nagy saying there that he would have liked to have seen some, a few more numbers. But I think overall they're very happy with this class. They should be very happy with this class. And again, recalibration time a little bit for what you expect from these recruiting classes as far as rankings are concerned. I think it will end up catching up with it sooner rather than later. But at the moment, it probably helps you a little bit financially speaking as far as what you end up with, as far as what it costs you to get some of these guys. And again, you got to remember that a lot of this stuff is going to have to do with retention. A lot of these class rankings, if you're not going as heavy and you're more looking for a few guys here, a few guys there, to continue with your development stage, but you got to get guys in the portal, which is going to cost you some money, and then you got to retain guys that are already stepping up for you. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well. I'm excited about this class. I think they did a fantastic job as always. And yeah, man, thank you guys. I appreciate everybody coming in. It was kind of an impromptu deal. Enjoyed getting to talk to Kristen Moore. What an amazing kid. And as you just heard from Jim Nagy, another one of those violent players on the field that is going to fit in very, very well in this scheme and with this coaching staff, with this defense. Offensively, I think they continue to build on what they have as far as depth is concerned at the receiver position. Their quarterbacks, this is going to continue to be hopefully in the, along the lines of what it is that Ben Arbuckle is trying to do. Again, Bo Bentley has shown that, he's undefeated in high school. So over a 2-year period, he's got one more game to go. We'll see how that kind of works itself out. Davin Gross on the flip watch to OU, possibly. I hadn't heard anything about that so far. He hadn't signed from the last thing I heard, but I haven't seen that he's flipping. It's something to watch for throughout the day, I guess, but we'll see. Until I haven't seen anything where he has signed yet either. So
we'll kind of wait and see kind of how this works out. But yeah, guys, I got to get out of here. I will be on with Jim Williams to talk about I'm going to be on with Jim Williams at 3 Eastern time. That's 2 o'clock Central. We're going to be talking a little bit about the SEC championship game between Alabama and Georgia coming up this weekend. Excited for that. And yeah, man, I appreciate everybody coming in. He did sign with UF about 30 minutes ago. Yeah. See, and I was watching their show this morning and didn't hear anything about him as of yet, but they were saying that they were sure, they felt pretty good about that. You know what I mean? Happy about this. Very happy with BV as leader, proud Oklahoma football team, Boomer. Yeah, appreciate that, man, and I agree with you as well. And this is going to move. I think this is going to continue to get better and better. And yes, Commish, I think you're completely right. Check this out. I'll be on with NIL Commish here over the next couple of days. We'll either do something tomorrow or maybe Friday. Get together on some content, man. I enjoyed having him on the show the other night as well. Again, shout out to Jonathan Lewis for helping us get Kristen Moore on the show today. Yeah, that's T-Town Media. He's doing a fantastic job with his recruiting. Make sure you get over to T-Town Media on YouTube. Subscribe to that channel because he's covering recruiting on a high level. Again, Sooners360, Chris Mason. Make sure you get over there, and you should get over to his Patreon. It's like $1.99 a month. It's a lot of unbelievable information, as you know, from what you saw today. But check him out tonight on the show with K. Chris as well. So yeah, man, excited about this class. Appreciate everybody joining us. If you hadn't hit the like button and subscribe to all the channels, make sure you do that for us, man. It helps us out a lot. All right. Appreciate you too. Thank you, True Okie, Max Swearingen, Sooners for Life, all you guys that have been in here all day. Let's see. The One Data, appreciate you. Let's see. Commish, Sooners for Life, Craig Air Force, Mars Jams. Appreciate you, my guy. Neilio, always. Liberty Metcalf, appreciate you coming in as well. JB, Unk, let's see, King of the Flamingo Sword. We were not forgetting Manny Choice or Elijah. Andrew, Charles, Crows Fly High, Sharpshooter, Ryan. Let's see, who else we got in here? We had Bishop Frank, K. Chris, meeting in here as well with us. We appreciate all you guys coming in. T-Boomer. Let's see. Sooner Freak. Smitty Boy. Let's see. Anybody else I'm missing? Johnny Johns. Appreciate all you guys coming in, man. Carson Carpenter. If I missed anybody, sorry about that, but we'll check with you guys soon. Check us out. I'll be on with Jim Williams today on that national show. That's JW Media on Twitter. He mostly runs everything through Twitter. So if you got Twitter, make sure you check out JW Media, and you'll see it on there. It's also on my Twitter as well. So get in there and check that out. You'll find us there. Sooner Cowboys, White Boys Slick. Appreciate you guys. Brandon Snake, all you guys coming in here. We'll check you all out on the next one.